Yo, 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 it's 𝘠𝘪𝘵, chatted up Tuesdays, just so you know, with love, your designer, I'ma bring in my girl. Why did I do that? Why did I do that? Hold on. Special guest, friend, Aora. Here we
What's
are.
up? What's
Hey,
up? What's up? What's up?
hey, hey.
Up, people?
How y'all doing tonight? I forgot that it did this little,
The
like,
box.
yeah, so you gotta set it up.
Yeah.
This should be fine though. This is good. You don't need to see the whole my head.
Chat it up, chat it up.
Chat it up, chat it. Oh, all right. Look,
Oh, you,
I wasn't ready. I was not ready.
I
Hold
miss
on.
my people, okay? I miss
All of them, all of them,
all of them.
all
All
of them.
from one side to the other side. All of them.
hmm All of them. Yes, mom. Yes, miss. So a day, on Chatted Up Tuesdays with love, your designer. What I mean by that? Okay, let me stop. All right.
I'm gonna just, I'm gonna just act know what she's saying and just put the famous American.
You know,
Yeah.
you done got me in the mood. You done got me in the mood to speak some patois. But
Yeah. Yeah.
let me
Let me
stop because
tag a few people.
yes, hello, Taste of Trinity.
Hey,
Good evening.
hey.
Thank you for joining.
Hey, Lady
Hello,
C.
Lady T. Good evening. Thank you for joining. So, with love, your designer is basically just giving all of our lovely viewers, business owners, whatever, those who are in need of design services, tips and tricks on how to communicate with your designer. Okay. Got some music in the background?
You see me? If you want me to turn it off, I will.
No, this is great.
Trying to keep it.
I,
It makes music makes me happy, and music
mhm.
calm. So
There you go. I love it. I
yeah,
love it. I am for it. I need to do that myself. Shoot.
I'm
Take
telling you.
notes for next week. Um, so yeah, this is just all about, giving tips on how to communicate effectively with your designer so that you can get your vision across, because there's definitely a language, just like everything else when it comes to design. So I have alongside with me the lovely, audacious London Bridges, and she ain't falling down. Hallelujah.
Huh?
Um,
Bill,
she's building up, baby. Yeah.
Christopher, what's up, brother? My other Jamaican brothers. What up?
Yes. Bro, bro, bro. Yes. So without further ado, let's dive on in. So when it comes to requesting a design project, what can we tell the people, you know, what should they first initially come to you with? Like for you, what do you require for them to have before you even engage in a conversation for their project?
Very first thing, the absolute
hmm
first thing, the money.
Okay.
Kidding. That's not true at all. I, I, I would prefer it if
hmm
you had the budget ready. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
that's not the very first thing I think about. I do think about vision,
hmm
think about the purpose of your brand, the purpose and the intent of what
hmm
you desire to communicate, what you desire to put out into the world. Very important that you understand, and actually, um, because I am large, I'm sort of what would I call it? Uh, I use this term loosely because some people it might rub them the wrong way, but visionary, right? I'm one of those people that takes small ideas and help people create vision. So a lot of times the clients that I've had, I've been freelancing probably for 15 years. So
hmm
I have been doing this since high school, and from the very beginning, I noticed that a lot of people just don't know what they want. They just don't know. A lot of times they don't even see beyond what they've experienced. Like they don't go outside of their community, their city, their county, or even their state. So they don't even know what's possible in their industry. um me and you talked about it, research, right? You, before you even talk about a designer or a brand, you should know what your industry offers, what your industry needs, what your industry, like what the difference is that you bring to the industry and to that particular area of expertise that you're bringing. Like,
Right.
don't, I may not know anything about makeup and hair. You can't tell that about my little head, but
Hey, girl, you cute, you cute.
but no, like I may be dealing with a hairstylist or something like that, but I don't know anything about the science of that industry, and I need you to tell me, hey, this is the breakdown, or this is why I need my price list created in a certain kind of way, or this is why my packaging needs to be set up like A rather than like B. I don't know that. We have to educate one another on our areas of expertise.
Definitely.
The research, and I think you should at least have an idea of a budget. I'm not a money hungry person, but I am becoming more serious about excelling in my business, and so
Yeah.
and I'm a believer in Jesus Christ. So for me, I believe in the principles, and Scripture talks about doing business as men. And a lot of times when we're doing ministry and business, sometimes they go hand in hand, sometimes they don't. We are too passive, and I am totally guilty of being too passive with the things that I desire to be the most excellent. So
Yes.
that's where I'm
Yeah.
at.
Okay. That's what's up. So what could you say is like, why do you think it's so important for people? Because I know initially when I started like, learning more about branding and stuff, I was just like, why does it matter what the competitors are doing? Like, why does it matter to do the research and all that good stuff? Like, why?
Yeah, yeah. I think I'm still learning why that's important as well, because
Hmm.
one of those people, I'm more art than I am business. So a lot
Yeah.
of I'm like, don't compare me to nobody. I'm out. I get in that bag a lot of times.
Hmm.
But how will you know what difference you're making?
Yeah.
And I really think it's just that simple.
Hmm.
I'm a poet, a performance poet, and a rapper, and people always compare me to A. Jackie Hill Perry or B.
Hmm.
Lauren. These are
Yep.
amazing comparisons. I mean, I'm honored to be compared to these people, but I'm London. Don't
Yes.
even my mom, right? Like I look just like my mother.
Hmm.
I have a similar personality, but I'm London though.
But you love it though.
No, I think the
See.
biggest importance is just knowing what difference you make. And so
Hmm.
if I'm, Walmart and Target, everybody knows, Target.
Tarjay.
Target is usually the winner. If
Yes,
you
yes.
in any front, literally. But
Hmm.
if you are a person that has a certain kind of budget, you may not be able to afford Target. Target
Tarjay, yes, yes.
area. Like it literally may not even be in your community. Like Walmart, right where I'm at in Atlanta, Walmart is 30 minutes away, or well, yeah, Walmart is 30 minutes away versus Target that's an hour away.
Whew.
So why am I going to do that when I could just save money and gas?
Hmm. And gas, because
But it's
that's a hot commodity.
right. But family, a lot of
Hmm.
family is vegan, uh,
Hmm.
and has a lot of food allergies. So
Hmm.
I can't just get any old thing. So now I got to go
Right.
to Target because they have specialty items.
Yeah.
So, I hope I answered the question, but I really think it's
Hmm.
about knowing the difference you make.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's key. Like that right there, knowing the difference you.
That's the music thing. Like, I'm still learning my voice as an artist, but I know that, and I won't even use Jackie, but I'll use Lauren. Um, the difference that I make with Lauren is just that I'm just more explicitly Christian, right? Like,
Mm.
think about the Miseducation, there were a lot of God themes, a lot of spiritual themes in her music. That's what made it so timeless and so effective and impactful. But like, I don't want people to be confused about what God I'm talking about. And that's just me. That's my personal
Yeah.
conviction.
Right.
So, and I'm also not afraid of making Christianity look sexy. Like,
Mm.
but that's a whole other story. But
Yes.
the difference is that I'm gonna be intentional about in my artist branding. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna see some skin, and
Yep.
I'm not gonna be afraid of that. Like, God made my body beautiful, and I'm gonna celebrate that. You know, and this isn't about that, but I just wanted to make that difference. Like,
Yeah.
those are the kinds of things that you got to think about, whether it's music, whether it's hairstyling. Even if you're not a creative person, you may be an accountant, but what makes your accounting skills more differentiated than H&R Block? Or
Mm-hmm.
why shouldn't I go to H&R Block? Why should I come to you when I can just go right down the street to, who's the other person, the other company like that?
TurboTax.
Yeah, TurboTax, Jackson Hughes,
Mm-hmm.
places like that, because they have a very solidified process.
That's
Like,
right.
I don't have to wonder, and oh, is this person going to get my stuff back on time, or are they going to do the paperwork correctly, or whatever like that. They have a very sustainable process, and that's
Right. That's it. That's it. So I think it takes a lot of, soul searching, especially when it comes to brand, because just like what me and you discussed before we got on this call, like you want to present yourself as who you are, especially if you're like, a sole proprietor or an individually owned business. Like you want to be able to have your personality shine through, your characteristics shine through in the business and whatever that you're offering, because just like you said, what are you bringing to the table? What difference are you making? And so, getting those things solidified and, making sense of all of those things, it definitely helps when it comes to communicating with your designer because, um, that way there's not going to be a lot of guesswork as
yes,
far as like, oh, this is what I want. You come with all these abstract words and stuff, and it's just like, okay. And then you end up
yeah,
not being satisfied with your end product because you didn't have like a good foundation.
yes,
We're just grabbing at whatever. We come with our own interpretation,
yes,
you know, and sometimes it works that way. Sometimes it works,
yeah, it's
but
true.
many times it doesn't. So that's why it's very important to, do the groundwork. And I mean, what can you say could help the people to do the groundwork? Do you think like something like a questionnaire or, like, because you mentioned like, H&R Block and all them, they have like a streamlined process.
Absolutely,
So I
yeah. I'm
think,
still learning. Again, like, I'm an emerging businesswoman.
mhm,
I'm a complete artist, but I'm an emerging business person. So a lot of my systems are still being streamlined. But yes, matter of fact, when I started my business, my freelancing, I've been freelancing probably since I was like 17 or 18. But when I was 21, that's when I really got my business plan and things like that. So my very first client brief, I was so proud of it, even though it would be considered a lot today, like doing too much. But I was really proud of it back then because I was so intricately detailed about every area of the process. I was like, I need this client. Like, I literally had a box that the client needed to like sketch something out, like
yes.
see what you see, like, but now, of course, now we have things like Pinterest. Now we have
Mhm.
like Google, because even back then we had Google, but it wasn't as,
It wasn't as good as it is now.
serious, right? So yes, I have a client brief that I send out, that is a mixture of questionnaire and
Okay.
um, like fill in the blank type of things that give me a better idea of what do you want, how do you want to approach this, and like you said, even about abstract language, like we need to get on the same page about that language. We need to get on the same page about how we're approaching this message, because you may, like, we just got on here clowning about how to say hello, right? We got on here saying,
Yes.
you know, what them say, whatever. But that's a language that we understand because we come from similar communities, right? I'm not
Mm-hmm.
Jamaican, but I grew up in that
But you get it.
area, and so I understand where you're coming from. So but I was just, you know, completely oblivious to that type of community, I'll be looking at you like you crazy. And that's a lot
Yeah.
of times what logos look like, you know, and these graphics look like, they're not coming across, you know, clearly at all. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you've probably seen those articles that show like really bad logos and why they're bad, and like
Yes.
you've seen things that had like crazy sexual innuendos, or they
Mhm.
like things that, you know, it may look like a pig when it's supposed to look like a woman or something crazy. So it's just like we got to be really intentional from the very beginning. So
Definitely.
asking the hard questions, um,
Mm-hmm.
you know, definitely not reinventing the wheel, but asking those questions that will get people to think differently than they have been thinking.
Yes. Yes.
Questionnaire. I now ask my clients to send me a Pinterest board.
Mm-hmm.
Give it a week from the consultation call. Like, hey, like,
That's good.
we talk. You know, say for instance, we talk Tuesday today. We're not talking again until the 19th, and that's
Mm-hmm.
giving you time to get your budget. Give me
Mm-hmm.
that deposit. A.
Right.
Starting work without a deposit, ladies and gentlemen. A. Also,
Amen.
yes. Also, I need to complete, not just start the questionnaire, complete it,
Complete.
and
Yes.
make sure to do your research. Continue the research process even outside of this, because you should be the expert in your industry. Because
Right.
why am I coming to you?
Mm-hmm.
So
That's good. That's legit. So when it comes to guidelines, so say you have a business or an entity that's already established, how important is it for you to receive guidelines from them? Like,
I love it. I love it.
yeah,
I hate it. The artist part of me hates it,
I
but the
know.
he loves it because it's about efficiency, it's about
Mhm.
optimizing, and it's about being intentional. Like I'm gonna waste time because I'm a dreamer. So I'm like la di da di da. So I have to. I'm constantly balancing these two.
Yeah.
Like we talked about it. Like, you know, where does art end and business begin? Because
Mhm.
it can be like I'll research for days. I love to research. So I'm like
Mhm.
I'm interested in every industry. So I'm just like, ooh, like I just get caught up into that. But
Yeah.
um, you know, I have the client give me those guidelines. But to be honest with you, that's why I like working with companies that may not be large, but they just may not have that branding foundation. So they may
Okay.
be in business for 15 years, whatever, but they don't have that solidified story. And I
Mhm.
love working with companies like that because I can control it. You know, I can be a little bit of a control freak. I can admit it. Um, but I like to be the one to help develop that. And
Yes.
I don't want to control your vision, but I do want to help to spring it
Mhm.
into something.
Okay.
So constraints, it was harder for me when I was younger. Now I'm not mad at it because I'm like, listen, it will make it a quicker process, and then you can't say that I was the one that came up with it. You said this.
Right, exactly.
It puts the onus back on the client.
Hmm.
So
That's
for,
fair.
for me, I'm
That
okay with
is fair.
them, but if I like to be the one to create the branding guidelines. Um, but it doesn't really bother me unless it's just a ridiculous, like, and unless it just doesn't make sense. That's the only
Yeah.
thing I really don't like it.
So in creating a guideline, like, I guess what's three factors that you would have your client consider in creating a simple branding guideline?
Um, uh, let me think. because I got to narrow it down. You said 3. I mean, color palette for sure. Don't come at me with these crazy colors, you know. Just look like the AKA sorority or Christmas. Like, just because you like pink, that doesn't mean it apply to your brand.
Yes.
I'm a color palette, typography, which
Mm-hmm.
the fonts, the font, and the family attached to those fonts.
Yes.
Because again, like if you're using Comic Sans, guys, like at this point,
Oh.
like the America is branding. So at this point, you should know what looks good and what doesn't. You should know
Mm-hmm.
professional. That's a better word. What looks professional and what doesn't. What works in the corporate world and what works in the artist world. Or you know, you look at something and most of the average person understands it like, oh, I'm gonna take this seriously or I'm not. Like you just by the look of something, you
Yeah.
know. So yeah, color, type, and what do you call it, Camille, when they like I consider it context, but how to apply something. I forget what they name that, what they call that.
Mm-hmm.
Like you shouldn't be putting this for
Oh,
you should put it here, but you shouldn't put it here, sort of thing. I
yeah.
forget what they call that.
I think that's oh man. I can see it, but I can't tell you right
Yeah,
now.
yeah, brain farts. But there
Mhm.
are do's and don'ts in branding.
Yes, the
Like
do's and don'ts. Like if you
like
have your logo stretched out of proportion, or don't put it on top of like certain colors. I
yeah,
mean, for lack of a better word, I guess, the do's and don'ts.
yeah, the do's and don'ts. Like
Yeah.
it's imperative that the you just gotta pay attention, like, and start
Hmm.
to look as a client, start to look around you. Branding is everywhere. Branding
Everywhere.
here, very basic setup on the patio. I'm looking at my computer. I'm looking at the logo on my computer, HP. That's branding. I'm looking at the water bottle right next to me, Poland Spring. I'm looking right. I just made that up because I don't know what kind of water I'm drinking. But the notebook right on my phone that's holding my phone up is a composition book, but it says "Be Kind" on it. So there's colors, there's logos, there's story in everything that we see. So you have to be mindful of those things when you're talking about brand. Is story as a whole, and get to the intricacies. How are you telling that story? So again, that color, that type, and the do's and don'ts. You know, where should this be used? How should this be used? And
I
now
guess you could say boundaries, you
boundaries
know,
is yeah,
like
boundaries is good. Yeah,
boundaries for
yeah.
your
Exactly what
branding.
you did with the constraints, like
Hmm.
you. I love how one person explains the brand guidelines as a brand Bible, because that's how
Hmm.
serious you take it. Like, don't. I told my mom we did a branding for her. She's an evangelist preacher. We did a not. I really haven't created a logo, if I'm honest, but I have created a series of graphics to work together for the brand. So
Okay.
time to create a logo for it. But all of that to say that I was explaining to her, I said, Mom, you can't just slap this on a shirt in any kind of way. You have to make
Right.
it, I'm like corner pocket, you know what I mean? This color,
Mhm.
that color works together, but don't have blue on blue. You know what I
Oh
mean?
no.
Or wasp, like right here, it's a wasp.
Oh, oh no. Oh, they being rude to was.
I know.
This is your life.
I knew it was a possibility, but
Aw.
sorry.
They just want to be part of the
No,
conversation.
this is
Girl,
not.
go inside if you need to. I don't need you to get stung.
Please.
Please.
Because he was out here earlier, and I was like, if he come close, I see what he's doing. Okay, but anyway, I'm here.
Okay.
Let me just hold the book just in case. Oh man, this is
Father.
sorry.
Mhm.
I'm so sorry that this is on live right
It's
now.
okay. Listen,
Wow,
listen. You
you act
can't
like
control
this.
nature. Oh
Yeah.
man.
So what's next? Hi Avery. Hi Dave. Hi, everyone else. Erica, whoever's still on here. God bless everybody.
Yes.
I am
Mhm.
accompanying my sister friend who also
Yeah.
is a designer. So
Designers.
I really want to kill her, but I'm too
Oh,
scared.
girl.
I'm like, and it's a wasp. Okay, let me just like, you talk for a moment, okay? You just,
Okay.
I'll be back momentarily.
That's fine. So while she's away, I'm gonna reiterate, what we talked about, when you're approaching a designer and you want to start a project with them, it's very important that you do the groundwork, where you're looking at, you know, the background of who it is that you are, what you're presenting, what makes you stand out, the importance of all of that. And, you know, it's important to have that intact so that you can successfully communicate with your designer what it is, what you want and what you don't want. Because again, we can pick up what you're putting down most of the time because, in this line of work, we tend to understand what people want, but it's always helpful, especially if you want to, cut down on the amount of revisions and the amount of time that it's going to take to get to the end product. Um, it's just very helpful when you are solid, as close as possible, to what it is that you want, and that takes soul searching, that takes research, that takes, looking around and making sure that you understand what you're communicating to your audience and who you're communicating to the audience to, because branding is not just the what, it's the who. It's like London said, it's a whole story that you're, conveying to people. So it's very helpful when you have those things intact, and guidelines, solidifying those is very important too. And the last thing that I wanted us to touch on, whenever she comes back is, keeping your audience in mind. And London mentioned, there's a lot of times where we want to incorporate something into our branding, where it's like, oh, I want to do this because I like it, and that's okay to a certain extent. You definitely don't want to make all of your decisions based off of what you like. You want to be able to have that message in your visual branding that's going to attract those who you're trying to communicate with. So having that in mind is very, very, very helpful, as far as communicating with your designer, because you want to be able to partner with your designer so that they can bring about whatever vision that you have in mind. Are you alive? You're okay?
This is actually London's ghost.
Oh gosh. No. Oh goodness.
So I was like, I told my
Mm-mm.
brother,
I don't blame.
both was like, if you can't kill it, then you better leave it alone.
Just
If you
walk
gotta
away.
kill it, just that. Sometimes you gotta
Mm-hmm.
know how to just walk away from the devil. You ain't
That,
gotta fight him. Just walk away. Resist,
just
and
walk
he'll what?
away.
If you resist, he'll what? Flee.
He'll flee.
Huh?
He will flee.
So.
Flee.
Oh, yes, but
Oh
thank you
goodness.
for that. I'm so sorry. Forgive me, audience.
It's okay. It
Yeah.
is fine. Shoot, this is real life, okay?
That.
It's as
Yes,
real
ma'am.
as it's gonna get.
Yes, ma'am.
Hmm. But yeah, I just basically reiterated all that we talked about, and I just wanted to leave off on the point of, keeping your audience in mind, and everything that you're doing, you know, when you're trying to get a project going, you know,
Yes,
who's
yes,
your audience? What are you
yes,
communicating? How do you want to communicate it? So, yeah. Um,
yeah.
mhm.
One of the things that I love about being an entrepreneur is that you're constantly reinventing yourself. But at a at a very, what word would I use? A preliminary stage. Even a business coach will tell you, you have to do your client avatar. You have to do
Mm-hmm.
your ideal client. Some people call it buyer's persona. Is different names for it and different approaches for it, but largely it is about who is the ideal person that you would want to pitch to, that you would want to sell to, that you would want to create for. And you have to know that who are the people. Just like right now with the song that I have several creative projects happening at one time.
Yeah.
So I released a song recently, and I looked at the analytics of the song, and it's funny because I was always saying how, specifically with Christian hip hop, like a lot of times they want you to create music for the kids because it's hip
Mm-hmm.
hop. Like, oh, hip hop is for children, specifically in the church. And so,
Mm-hmm.
they always send you to the youth, ministry when you're a rapper. And it's like, nah, but my content is for grown folks, though.
Right.
And, I looked at my analytics for the song that me, my sister 𝘞𝘪𝘵 and my other sister Christy of Music created. And the demographics is 60% male,
Mm-hmm.
40% female, and that's perfect because the song was
That's
for
what's up.
men.
Yes.
And the age was between 35 and 45, or I think it was actually 32 to 44. Actually, it was really
That's
intricate.
pretty good.
Yeah, yeah, and I was like, that is amazing because that's
That's
my age group.
awesome. Mm-hmm.
These are the people who it's almost like, the generational message, the legacy that we're trying to create. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's like that message has come across. It has
Yeah.
successfully, we have successfully created our ideal client, and those clients and those customers and consumers are being, look at another B.
Girl, you must be smelling sweet.
I know,
Cause
I don't feel like I am, but I mean, but yes, but yeah, when you create that ideal client, you begin to dream and see that it's attainable,
yeah.
and you have that intention. I mean, I'm just one of those people. I'm a very intentional person in everything I do anyway. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, if it's not hitting the mark, there's something we're doing wrong. So let's start
Wrong.
from the beginning again, from that brief,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'm one of
Mm-hmm.
those people who, we're supposed to be writing a song, and I'm doing research on what are the other songs that have come out that we're doing. You know what I'm saying? So it's like
Yeah.
my brain is very, analytical, uh,
Yeah.
and that's because I want to put out what doesn't exist. I want to
Mm-hmm.
make the difference. So
Yes.
if we can do that, the sooner in the process, the better.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And that's the beautiful thing, as you were saying that, it just made me think you can't be afraid to start over, you know.
Absolutely.
Um, oof. But how does that work with design? Like,
Yeah.
like say you go through the whole project and then you get to the end product and it's like, this isn't what I want. How would you go about that as a designer with your client?
Yeah. I have not mastered that quite yet because
Yeah.
that I'll even say that hasn't happened too many times. Thank God. And I
Okay.
think I typically find people who don't know much about design, and they're kind of like, I'm putting it in your hands. You know what I mean? Unless
Yes.
it's like a color or something crazy that they just like, absolutely
Mm,
not. But I would probably approach that with just another level of, hey, let's go back to the client brief. Let's go back there.
mm-hmm.
These are the words you use. Like one of the segments of my client brief is, hey, what words do you use to describe this particular industry? What words do you use to describe the message that you want to create here? So if you're using words like, you know, ratchet,
Mm.
then don't be mad at me when I
It
use,
just come out ratchet.
you use the word for this particular reason. You know what I mean? And I have to be honest, like I was looking at something from Chris Doe earlier, and they were saying, talking about the language again, like
Mm,
the client doesn't know design language. So
right.
we have to narrow down what they mean when they say ratchet. They may just
Hmm.
mean urban. They may just mean um, culture.
Right.
Like we have to be the ones because we're the communicators. We're the creative
Mm-hmm.
communicators. We have to be the ones to narrow down and sort of filter through.
Mm-hmm.
What are they really trying to say? So, and that's
Yes.
why the consultation call is so important. So actually, even before the client brief, I mean, it depends. It depends on how I met the person sometimes, which one I do
Mm-hmm.
first. But within that 30 minutes, I should be able to pretty much narrow down that questionnaire into 5 minutes. I should be able to
Okay.
tell you the story in
Mm-hmm.
5 minutes, even if you can't, even if the
Yeah.
client can't. I should be able to.
Right.
I'm the one in
Yeah.
charge. Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's
Did I answer
key.
your question?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, it's basically, I see it as, you know, in doing the client brief and doing the consultation, it's really helping to keep the client accountable as well, because it's just like, okay, hold on now. This is
This is
what
what you said.
you said. Yeah, exactly. So, um, it's important. I know it can be seen as, oh, this is extra. You're just creating an image. What do you, like? But nah, man. Like
No, we're
this is
creating a story. We're creating
Mhm.
a family of messages here. This is
Exactly.
and I want the client to stay with me.
Mhm.
How about that? I want
How about
them
it?
to I don't want them to come to me for one thing, go to somebody else for something else. I don't. I want longevity,
Yes.
right? I
Yes.
want to create I'm hoping that your idea becomes vision and your story becomes legendary is what I'm hoping,
That's what's
right?
up.
So
I
it's
love
like
that.
I'm not there yet. I don't have any brands that have excel to that level yet. But that's why my branding is changing.
Mhm.
London Bridge's brand is changing because now I'm here for a different level of clientele now. I'm
Right.
not doing $50 logos anymore.
Mm-mm.
I'm not even doing $100 logos anymore.
Tell them again, girl.
So it's, if I've been doing it as long as I've been doing it, and watch this, your work has to speak. So, you can't be charging $5,000 and you going on Canva. That's not.
Absolutely not. That will
And
not fly.
don't say it on Canva, but no. If you are not creating something and customizing something and personalizing something and going through that actual process, going through the blood, sweat, and tears that I went
Mm-hmm.
through to get this, you feel me? Like it has to be a medium.
Mm-hmm.
So know what you're signing up for as a client as well. Like you don't.
Exactly.
It becomes a bit of a slap in the face to the designer when you don't have your ducks in a row. What I do, like I said earlier about doing business as men, things that I need, I tell people, I ask them what their price is, or I ask them what kind of budget should I be looking at if I'm coming to them.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just tell them I want to work with you in the future, right? I'm not ready right now. I will tell them that because I
Mm-hmm.
have expensive taste. So a lot of the things that I want and desire, whether it's videography or whether it's like fashion styling, stuff like that, like I can't, I have to be honest and hold myself accountable.
That's
Because if I
good.
really want it, I'm gonna invest. Isn't that true?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
There it is. It's a
yeah,
two-way street. It
it
really
is.
is.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yes. Well, Lynn, I think this was very, very, very rich. I mean, I see there's a lot of things that we could delve into, you know what I'm saying? Like it's a very broad, vast topic. And I thank you so much for coming and gracing us with your wisdom. And I learned a lot from you tonight. See, I got you talking. um,
You did. You did.
I did.
It's the
So
behind the scenes
where
about anyway.
whatever.
What's up?
Well,
What's up?
where can the people find you?
Hmm.
Where
Yo,
can the people find you?
follow me, add me, tweet me, all the things that these kids do today. Uh, London Bridges, London with two L's, Bridges with two S's, LLONDON underscore. Bridges, BRIDGESS, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, that's where you'll find me. I have a lot of new things coming up, so just please stay tuned.
Yes. And tell them what all you are capable of.
We ain't got time for that. That was
Like,
like shading myself and like shaded like everybody else. No, I'm just kidding. No. I I am what Amanda Seals likes to call a multi-hyphenate. So I'm largely working through creative direction. I am a graphic designer. I am a recording artist. And those are the things that I'm focused on right now, in addition to performance poetry and writing a book. But there are many other things that I am capable of doing and many things that the Lord is calling me to do, because that's what it's ultimately about. So, music, poetry, art, design, you will find me in those arenas quite frequently.
yes.
So,
Yes, Megan.
stay connected.
I love it. I love it. She is like one of the most creative people I know. Like,
And that's saying a
especially
lot. We went to a performing arts school.
we did. We did.
I'm like, I'm a
Yes, you.
lymphoma-ish, but
Oh, whatever.
God is,
It's
God
oozing,
is great.
oozing out
Yeah,
of you.
God is great. God is great the way
Mm-hmm.
He does things. So what we're gonna do actually, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna put Camille out there. We're gonna
Oh dear.
do a creative um, project together. I'm gonna label
Yes,
it like
we are.
that, so we will reveal it when it's time. We're gonna do a
Mm-hmm.
creative project together, and I'm gonna have you come on my live
Ooh,
next month, and we'll talk. We'll
ooh.
continue this conversation. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll continue
Okay.
this conversation over in there
Okay.
because I want to talk about Christian creatives and branding specifically, like
Mm-hmm.
that niche, because there's a lot that needs to be done there in
Yes.
that arena, and like a lot of people need help,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of people need to learn some things. So
Yes.
we don't have all the answers, but God has gifted us to
That's
have a
fine.
few. Yeah, he got a
Amen.
couple. He got a couple of them. So, yeah.
Yes, girl. Okay. Putting me out there on the spot. That's fine. That's cool. I'll take it.
Let's work.
Lord, it's not like I have a wedding next week or anything. Well, not my wedding. I'm in a wedding. So I don't even know if I'm gonna be on here next Tuesday, to be honest. So we'll see. We'll
Okay.
chat it up.
Next month.
Literally.
Next month is when I need you. So,
Oh, next month. Okay.
yeah. Did
Okay,
I
so
say
we
next
good.
week?
We good.
Sorry if I said next week. Next month.
Okay.
Yeah.
Girl, I
Mm.
thought you said next week. You see, I just keep getting the dates wrong.
All
Forgive
right.
me.
It's okay.
Forgive me.
Look, this is, ladies and gentlemen, this is what happens when you don't. You got to get your rest, man.
Oh, Lord. Help us. Help us, Lord. But yes, that is it. We done chatting it up.
Yes.
Hope you know how to better communicate with your designer.
Mhm.
Because here we are with love, your designers.
I will
Whoa,
make a
okay.
heart. I'll drop my phone.
Oh,
Half a heart. Oh, you make the other one. Okay.
there you go.
We're so
Yay!
corny. We're so corny.
Oh,
It doesn't matter. This is our live. Ain't nobody mad but the devil.
that's right.
I love you, girl. I'll holler at you.
All right. Good night,
Peace,
everyone. Bye.
everybody.